What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. The purpose of this video is to do an in-depth long-term analysis on the price of Bitcoin, projecting out where we could be by the end of the cycle and when we might get there too. If that sounds good to you, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, please and thank you, and let's get rocking and rolling here, you guys. It's the 29th day of June. We'll do some short-term analysis too at the end of the video, depending on how long. If it's a long video and I feel like I've made like some kind of massive point at the end, maybe I'll end it and I'll forget about the short-term stuff. But hopefully I'll remember to do that at the end. But let's get started, okay? I'd like to start off with the price and just look at the chart and kind of analyze how we've moved throughout the most, or not the most recent cycles, but all the cycles really, excluding this one, right? This first cycle is kind of a one-off, just crazy upside, right? The very early days of Bitcoin. I mean, man, just crazy stuff, right? We're gonna go from that cycle's end, the all-time high, to the low, and use the bread and butter that I like to promote on this channel, which is the fibs, right? The fib extensions. From a high to a low, you can see that the next cycle high, the next bull market right here, topped off just above the 2272, right there, just above the 2272, right? You even went above $1,000, which is psychological resistance, just showing that you can break above that level. That doesn't mean you don't find resistance. We found resistance around there still, but you didn't find resistance at 1,000 or below 1,000. You found resistance at 1,200. You know what I mean? So a little bit higher, but right above the 2272. That's the main takeaway from this. Okay, we take that next cycle high to the bear market low here, and you may notice that we find resistance yet again right above the 2272 on the fibs. Right here near that 20K level, just below it, this time just below that psychological level. From a high point, we saw $19,800, but still right around a psychological level of resistance, 20K, and again, just above the 2272. You'll notice that this all-time high here was in Q4. Okay, this one was not. No, that was in June. This one was in Q4, November 2013. This all-time high was in December the next year, 27 or 2 years later. 4 years later. I don't know what I was thinking there. 4 years later, 2017, but November, December, right? Both of those. We take the next cycle high to low here, and this time we did not get to the 2272. I have a bunch of theories as to why that happened. I don't want to go in too much depth as to why, but I'll just, quick fire some possibilities as to why we did not see a blow off top last cycle, why we did not see the 2272, why we stopped at the golden ratio and we had a double top. High inflation all around the world, right? Fear in the markets, uncertainty in the markets because of that, right? We had quantitative tightening from the Fed Reserve, right? They were in a quantitative tightening phase. Interest rates were hiking. We had interest rates hiking, which is not normally a good thing if you want to see like massive expansion in any economy. Maybe in the long term, but not in the immediate term. And we also had COVID. Of course, the dollar, the DXY, was gaining in value, right? It was going up and up in its readings, and whenever the DXY grows, Bitcoin tends to slow. It can grow while the DXY grows, and it did grow. It just slowed down, right? We've never had a bull market experience where we're reaching for all-time highs and the DXY was growing, right? Or at least we've never had that kind of experience, and then that persisted. Oftentimes you go down when the DXY expands, and that's exactly what happened here. But there's a bunch of reasons. Again, I don't want to get too caught up in this, why I believe we didn't hit the 2272. I think we were robbed last cycle, man. That should have been, this last 6 months of the cycle should have been a fantastic finale phase. But reality is we stopped here at the 1618, okay? Again, just above it. We stopped just above the 2272 the prior two cycles. Here we stopped just above the 1618, okay? This cycle here, we've yet to go to either of those targets. So high to low, this should at least illustrate well as to why we are not at the end of the cycle here. And let me just tell you something about the fibs real quick, okay? Whenever you consolidate like this, you move up all the way through the golden ratio and you consolidate at the 786, 886 like this, that is super bullish stuff, you guys. Very bullish stuff. You consolidate below the 1272 like this at the 1272 without even testing back the 100 level or the 1 right here. You see 69K without testing that prior high. If you consolidate above, that's like the most bullish phase of consolidation you can have without getting deep into the extensions right here. When we rip to the upside from here, we're going to have a nonstop, and I think we're in the middle of a nonstop party already, right? It's just going to be green month after green month until we see 170 to 180, 190K even, something probably just above there, because we know that Bitcoin does like to top off just above its 1618, which right above 173K might be 180K, right? Something right around there. If we take this relative high to relative low, Our next target area there would be the, right above the 2272, lining up with that 1618. We know Bitcoin likes the 2272 and it goes just above there. Maybe 180K is a very suitable target by the end of this run, but that's not what we're talking about. This is the end of this next move. I don't believe this will be the end of this run. We've got the global M2 money supply curving up, coming in. Money is coming in from all places around the world, except for the United States, man. We need the money printer in the United States to go off. That way the money supply really starts to tick up in the global M2. And the best way to have that happen is to bring down interest rates, right? We're looking forward to interest rates dropping. We're looking forward to quantitative easing. The Fed hasn't officially announced that they're shifting into or phasing into QE yet, but they are. They're slowly starting to do it, and it's coming. And I think anybody who's paying attention is aware of that. QE, quantitative easing, essentially tells risk-on investors, speculators, institutions, that it's safe to borrow money and go risk on into risky assets or investments and stuff like that. No, overall, that this is generally where we see markets boom. Okay, this hasn't happened yet, but it's happening / it's about to happen. We're right on the precipice of this, and I think that being that we're not in a time like here last cycle where we had, that the market was stopped. We thought that we'd go higher, but we stopped because of all these things: quantitative tightening, high interest rates, right? COVID. We don't have COVID. We don't have high interest rates, our interest rates are coming down. We don't have high inflation, right? We don't have high. Everything essentially, the DXY is at some of the lowest prices it's been in years, or lowest valuations that it's been in years, right? And it's in a downtrend. Everything that was bearish and holding the price back last cycle, it's practically the opposite right now, and even about to phase into the true opposite, right? We're in like a neutral phase where we don't have quantitative easing yet. Interest rates haven't lowered yet, but they're at least not hiking. At least we're not in a tightening phase, right? And those are two very big things. The DXY isn't gaining dominance, and Donald Trump likes the dollar weak. He wants the US dollar, the DXY, he wants that to be weak, and we can actually see this real quick if I can pull it up here. Let's see. We know, this is certifiably true right here. This is certifiable because his last administration in 2017, January, when he got inaugurated, the DXY went on a straight dump, right? Guess what? The DXY here on January 2025 has gone through a straight dump. And when did it stop? When did it stop here? January 2017 all the way down to February 2018. We've got a whole lot more time. The DXY can go lower, guys. We're in a massive uptrend overall. The DXY can absolutely go lower, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does. We might even break out of this very long, almost multi-decade trend. Kind of have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 legs up. Yeah, if it was an impulsive wave count, I don't know. That's like 1, and then you have a corrective wave running flat, or I don't know what that would be, but 1 expansion, 2, 3. That could be, I don't know everything about Elliott Wave Theory, but that might be a perfect time for this thing to stop. And if we are to stop, you guys, one of the most bullish things that could happen is if this DXY breaks through, and it looks like it's going to break through. And we know Donald Trump wants a weak dollar. That's to stimulate the economy. That's not to hurt the dollar or hurt the American public. It's good for the economy. And it's good for American products and business owners. Anyways, typically at least. And we're on the precipice of breaking out of this. I bet you, when we break out of this, you guys, it's going to be things are going to be insane. And then on top of that, weakening the dollar will bring back a little bit of inflation with some money printing, right? Interest rates are going to go down. It would just make sense that this continues to decrease, and with that, Bitcoin would continue to grow. All this to say, we're just in a different environment. I'm getting hung up on things that people probably don't care about too much. Some people do. I know there's some of you that really appreciate it, but for some people, it's either over your head or it's not even over your head. It's just like you don't care. You know what I mean? Whatever. All I'm trying to say by that is we are in the exact opposite environment that we were back here, where we got held back, which means we're probably going to rip, right? We were doing this post-COVID. We've got a crypto-friendly administration now. We've got all this stuff. I highly doubt, all this to say, I highly doubt that this cycle, first off, is done because we haven't even seen the 1618. And second off, I highly doubt we stop here. The end of the cycle is going to be all the way up here at the 2272, as it was the prior 2 cycles before last cycle. That, to me, makes the most sense. We're going to go over another reason as to why I believe that's going to happen, but just bear with me real quick. If we go to the 2272, where are we going to go? Likely, we're going to go just above it. Right? Like we have every other time. What's just above 462K? What makes sense? What's a nice psychological level of resistance that we might stop just below or just above, as we have before? $500,000. We'll probably go to $500,000. And here's one more thing actually before we move on. I'm not going to pull up the chart. I don't want to, but just trust when I tell you. When Bitcoin's bull market ends, typically altcoins top off 1 month after that. So we'll have Bitcoin top off right here, and then we'll have a clear month of bullishness in the altcoin markets afterwards. That's when they'll top off. It'll be a nice signal, not for every altcoin, but for a good bit of them. Okay. At least that's the expectation that I and a lot of OGs are aware of. $500,000 for me. That's been a price target we've had since like 2023, maybe even 2022. I can't remember. Whenever this channel started, that's like been the bread and butter of this bull markets idea. We've been calling for that for a very, very long time. Everybody else has felt like back here, felt very comfortable saying 200K, maybe 100K. Now that we're here, now that everything's going on, now everybody's on board with 500K. We've been about it since 2022. Show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. The charts are telling us we're going to go to 500K. I didn't know that we were going to have a pro-crypto, the most pro-crypto administration in the White House that we'd ever seen. But that's what happened. I didn't know that we'd have a Bitcoin stockpile or that we'd have a crypto stockpile, but show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. Of course, we're going to get there with some very bullish things in mind, right? What else did I want to talk about here? I wanted to go over something that I went over in a couple videos that I made this morning, actually, and we'll just do this briefly. If we're looking at this for what it is, right, the bear market low here to this high right here, this move is your pre-halving move. Okay, what do I mean by pre-halving? I mean the very first halving Bitcoin ever had was in November. So this was your low to high before the halving. It was your pre-halving move. November 28th was your halving date. So from a low to a high here, this is your post-halving move. Pre-halving move, post-halving move. Do you notice a difference? Do you notice a difference there? Let's see. I mean, this one is huge and it's at a faster pace. Let's see if that replicates, right? From a low here to a high right here, your next halving was July 9th, 2016. This is June right here, 2016. So that is your pre-halving move right there. We take the low in August after the halving, your post-halving move to the all-time high of that cycle. Pre-halving move, post-halving move. Looks familiar, right? Higher pitch, higher grade, and it's much larger. It's a much larger move. In essence, what we're saying is the second half of the bull market after the halving is the most bullish time every time, at least so far, right? Let's go to this next cycle too. You'd be surprised to find that it's actually the exact same here. Pre-halving low, right? Pre-halving high. This one was actually pretty small because we had COVID and everything. Man, it held prices back. Who knows why it was priced in this way? I mean, I'm thinking it was because of COVID, right? It's COVID-19, not because the whole year of 2019 had COVID, but it was like December that I feel like the first case came out, if I remember correctly. But who knows, maybe the people in charge of the world were aware of this beforehand. I don't know. For whatever reason that we topped off, I think it's because we moved up in a very, very short amount of time, so we topped off, and then COVID added to the selling pressure. But pre-halving move, post-halving move, actually, it wouldn't be this low, because that halving was May, not this month. So post-halving move would have been here. This post-halving move, the slope was a little bit lesser than the pre-halving move, but still overall a bigger move. Can we agree? Can we see it with our eyeballs? It's still a bigger move. Absolutely it is. And if we were to measure, the low here to the high of this move, that in itself was still bigger than the pre-halving move, and the slope was actually a little bit higher still. So even then, there's an argument to be made that the finale phase was more robust in all aspects than the pre-halving move was, okay? Now we get to this cycle, and we haven't topped off yet. We clearly haven't topped off. That's why I started the video talking about where we're going to go. 170K, if you believe we're going to go to 170, 180K and stop there, and that's the cycle high. I disagree with you heavily, and I hope that it makes sense as to why, but maybe, but probably not. And this will also help make sense as to why not, okay? We got other things as to why we're likely not going to stop around there. Pre-halving move. From a low to a high, this halving was April 2024, April 20th, right? This is our low, post-halving move. We don't know where it is yet. We don't have this measurement. We can't validate that it's going to be bigger, smaller, whatever. We don't know. But based off of history, all history with Bitcoin, what we do know, or at least presume to know, as I like to put it, is this move, the post-halving move, will be bigger. What do I mean by bigger? I mean at least, and maybe it's not at the same slope. Maybe it's at a faster slope. Maybe it's at a slightly lower slope, whatever. But it will be bigger. it will be bigger. What we absolutely know, what we presume to know at the very least, and let me actually get this more accurately on there because it's not on there. I think that's more accurate. Yeah, right there. We presume to believe that the price will not stop at $236.8 thousand. It will only go above that, and likely sizably above that, noticeably above that, not just barely, right? So if we take the high from the last cycle to the low, where is just barely above this move? Yeah, right here. What would a sizable difference be? Right, the 2272, right. As we've seen, 2 out of 3 of the past 3 going on 4 cycles now. What we've done before this simple measurement, just using our eyeballs here, our seeing eyeballs to see the truth in front of us, is we've made an argument as to why the 2272 is a more likely target than the 1618, right? We laid out all the geopolitical stuff and why I think we were held back versus why I don't think we're held back this cycle, right? Don't forget, guys, this was the first cycle we saw a new all-time high before the halving. More robust cycle. We haven't even gotten to the good stuff yet, okay? I feel like this only helps validate the case that not only will we not stop at 173K, but we've never stopped in this area before. So likely, I mean, just it'd be like here or there is kind of how I'm thinking of it. But then again, you run with the idea of the pre-halving versus post-halving move. Is it the post-halving move? Is it just barely bigger? No, it's notably bigger. And what would notably bigger be? Right? It would be like even this would be notably bigger. That's to the 2272. And what I do believe and what I know from fibs, I've been doing this technical analysis stuff for like 9 years, you guys. You either stop here or you don't, and you go up to the 2272. You don't stop in between. It happens. I'm not saying it can't happen, but statistically speaking, like 80% likelihood that you don't stop in between, right? And then with the fact that we like to go to the 2272, I feel an ever-increasing confidence that this is where we're going to go. And I haven't faltered on that at all. I've never taken that target off the table. That's always been the case that we've been holding out for. That's how we know that the bull market's not over yet, you guys. Tack on this idea too, okay, as far as timing goes, because now we're actually getting into timing. If it's going to be a bigger move, well, this move ends in December. It ends in December of this year, which means this bull cycle, and for a long time I thought the bull market would end in October. I thought this move would be bigger, we just move up like this, and in that sense it would be bigger, right? But I believe with this, where it's actually telling us something, and it's something that I've ignored up until recently, is that the cycle is actually going to continue into 2026. It's going to. Q1, Q2, maybe it's a whole year from now. I don't know. It could really extend a lot longer than we might have assumed. I'm thinking it'll be probably in Q2 that we top off. Probably. That means between April and June. Somewhere in that time frame. Maybe May. Sell in May and go away, right? Maybe. Though Bitcoin is more of like a sell in June and go away type of thing. But anyways, with that, we have a logic and price potential and time potential, right? As far as going into 2026 and stopping at 500K goes, okay? It's pretty cool stuff. Why would this cycle, but if it goes into 2026, C-Zar, that would mean this is the longest bull market we've ever experienced. Absolutely it does, you're right. Have you noticed something different about this bull market compared to any other bull market? Did we have, in this parabolic bull market, did we have 1, 2, 3 phases where we consolidated, where we were literally range bound for 7 months? Where we were range bound for 7 months? Where we were range bound for, I mean, hell, we're still in this range, guys. This is the 7th month right here. Have we ever seen that before? We had last cycle, we had and this was absurdly long. This wasn't constructive. This was like just completely unproductive and boring. And it bored a lot of people, right? We had DeFi summer. We had other things going on in the altcoin markets, you know. There were good parts of that market, but for Bitcoin, it wasn't that great, right? And we've never seen anything like that before either, but that's not necessarily constructive. You still had this uncontrolled, just blow off kind of move to the upside, right? Here, we're very structured. Here, parabolic move, really no structure at all. Like you're just moving up hard. Here, you had one phase where you consolidated for a long time. Did that mean the bull market was over? No, that gave you enough room to move up. But really you only had like 2 moments like that, and the amount of time that you consolidated was 5 months, yeah, and on the 5th month you broke out there. Here, 6 months, right? Twice did you consolidate. This time 3 times, and much more constructively. You didn't have these big explosive moves in between. This is a lot more methodical, okay? And when I got into technical analysis, what I learned, the fundamentals, what I learned is that a cycle like this is unsustainable. A cycle like this, what we're seeing now, is very sustainable, constructive, methodical, and what I learned, word for word, from the people that I learned from, is that this is what allows a cycle to continue longer, for you to see higher highs than anticipated, to grow for an amount of time that's longer than anticipated or even normal. This is constructive behavior. All the signs are there. And again, the reason why I've been so reluctant to shift to 2026 is because for a long time, and you can go back and watch my videos, man. You can go back and watch, I didn't expect that we consolidate this long because that's not what we do with Bitcoin. We don't consolidate 3 big consolidation phases. We don't do that. We have a blow-off finale after the halving, and we still will. But it's been a lot more constructive, right? It took until we broke out of this constructive phase, until we were this constructive for so long, and me just really looking at it with my eyeballs to see, oh my God, we're doing the thing. We're stair-stepping. We're doing the exact thing that is ideal from a fundamental technical perspective to continue the price, allowing it to grow in a longer and healthier fashion. It just makes all the sense in the world that this bull market would last longer, let alone with everything else we've seen. All right, let's move on to the RSI. There's other things we can talk about, but they're not really relevant yet. We could talk about the pi cycle charts. We could talk about various other indicators, but I want to go over the RSI because I think this is something simple that anybody can get. And I don't care what your setting is, man. I have mine set to a 10. Yours could be a 14. Yours could be a 7. Yours could be a 20, whatever. You're still going to get, they might not be at the same exact readings, but you're still going to get something that looks just like this. Mine are above the 95 typically, right? Like these highs here. But you're going to get something that looks like this. If you take a line, a nice white line, and you drag it across here, all right, you'll notice that every single cycle, we've had 2 peaks, right? 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. This one, again, last cycle we were held back. And we can see it here in the RSI. We can observe it. We still had 2 peaks, though, to end the cycle. And let me show you why this is a peak that we should consider, okay, that we absolutely should consider. If we're looking at these here, first off, the second peak for each of these cycles is the technical all-time high. Last cycle was a bit weird because I would say the end of the cycle was the first peak. It took me a long time to come around to that. It took me until the end of the bear market to come around to that. But yeah, that was the end of the cycle. This was the all-time high though. Every single peak, if we're looking at this, every single second peak that we've had is literally on the month of the all-time high. Every single peak, right? I didn't draw it from the price. I drew it from the peaks in the RSI, right? Anyways, looking at this here, okay? Looking at this here, the peaks, these 2 peaks, they have a time frame between them. We haven't had our first peak yet, and some people might say, oh, that means we're more bearish. No, let me tell you something. This RSI right now is more bullishly charged than it's been throughout its whole life. Genuinely, this is the most bullish that an RSI can be when you're getting overbought, you're finding support at the 60, you're getting overbought, you're finding support at the 60. Dude, this is supreme. It's literally the most bullish that it's ever been. It absolutely is. We're getting consistently strong readings. You only get this when you're doing constructive, healthy things, which we're doing, right? We've gone over all of that. The first peak here in the first cycle, 2011 to the 2011 cycle, that was a 4-month gap between peaks. This one here, we had a 7-month gap between peaks. And this is cool, guys. It's not cool because they alternate, and they do alternate. It goes from 7-4 or 4-7-4, and then it also goes to, you guessed it, 7. Okay? 4-7-4-7, the distance between these 2 peaks in the RSI, okay? What's cool about it isn't that it alternates, right? But that there is a allotted amount of time after the first peak, because we know we get 2 peaks. There's an allotted amount of time that exists for more than a quarter of a year, and sometimes even half a year, where the cycle high comes in, which means we will be on red alert, full aware of when the cycle is going to end months, a quarter of a year or more, likely more, before it actually happens. And we're nowhere near the first peak now, okay? Likely, if we move up in dramatic, fantastic fashion, as we normally do, up to these areas, right? I doubt that we're going to get there in July, which means July is going to grow, but then August is probably going to grow too. Maybe it's September that we top off. I don't know. Is it going to be July, August, September, October? Where are we going to hit this first peak? I don't know. So let's run with it, right? Let's use our brains a little bit on this. Logically speaking, we're probably not going to go all the way up here by the end of July. Okay, probably not. Unless we see prices that are above 200K in July, which do you guys think that's going to happen? I don't think that's going to happen, and people call me a moon boy. I don't think we're going to get to this price or to this level by the end of July. So at least August. Can we agree that it would at least be August? Maybe 2 months that it takes for us to get up to this level. At least there. If not September or October. Or again, we're predicting here. We don't know. We don't have the exact thing. So let's run the data. 4, 7, 4, 7, 4, right? Presumably. Maybe we can even give it a range, 4 to 7. How crazy would that be, right? Wouldn't it be nice if we got a 7 or maybe even a 5? It got out of this and we were a little bit longer than 4. Let's say it isn't July, but August that we touch this area. 4 months from there would be December. We've already made sense out of why that might not make sense, right? Because this move, the post-halving move, will likely be bigger than the pre-halving move, and we've been more constructive. Likely will extend into this. But if we touch this area by August, maybe we hit 4 months, or 4 months later we do stop in December. If it's 7 months, we stop in March 2026. If it's anywhere in between, it is what it is. Something probably in the beginning of 2026, But that's if we top off in August. What if it's September? What if it's October? If it's September, then January. If it's October, then February. And that, again, what I'm talking about is September, October, or August. I'm talking about the first peak, and then where would the second peak be, right? I think that because this cycle's been more constructive, I don't know if we're going to get a 4-7, 4-7. I don't know if this month or this gap will be a 4. We're going to be watching it like a hawk and definitely considering that in the analysis. And when we get to the 4th month, we're going to be on super red black alert, man. We're going to be curious to see what the price does, right? And hopefully be phasing out of the markets by then. And phasing, not selling out completely, but phasing, right? Or maybe phasing into Bitcoin. Not out of the markets, but still into like the solid asset, right? Or other assets that might be solid as well. But something like this does give us the idea that January or further out would likely be when not just Bitcoin tops off, but likely altcoins top off as well. We're going to be watching this like a hawk. I think this is going to be one of those key indicators. We've got the pi cycle on there. We've got other things to go over too. And there's just going to be a whole list of indicators that we will use that have been utilized throughout the cycles to mark the tops. Okay, this is just one that I think is simple and that everybody has access to, whether you're using TradingView Premium or you've got the free version, whatever, right? I don't think I have anything else that I want to say, so let's do the short-term stuff and then we'll wrap this video up, okay? It's the 29th of June. We have 22 hours left in the day. Here we are at $107.4 thousand now, okay? Consolidating. Moving sideways, not really doing a whole lot. Boring weekend. Unfortunately for the bulls out there, unfortunately for people like me who are looking forward to next week being bullish, and maybe it is bullish, maybe it's not, I don't know, we'll see. The weekend's been bullish. And typically when you have a bullish weekend, whenever you move up over the weekend, you move down over the week. At least the first couple of days you'll move down. So likely Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, we're probably going to move down, probably. Where are we going to move down to? Well, that's a good question. We'll see. Bitcoin, since April, has had a rather serious commitment to the 236. We take a low to a high here, and you notice you found support right there at the 236, didn't you? Yeah, you did. You found support right there. You take a low to a high here. Maybe it's not that low. Maybe it's this low to high. Low to high here, and you found support right at the 236 yet again. You take a low to a high here. Is it this low to high? You found support at the 236. You actually tipped the 382, but you found support at the 236 on a closing basis. Was it from here all the way down? No, yeah, it was that one. But showing significance at that level all the way up, right? That's the main point of what I'm trying to get you. If we look at this from a low here to a high here, the 236 provided support several times, and we went a little bit below it. Here we disrespected it, in all fairness. Because of this, I must admit, it is considerable that we could go to the 382 to find support, right? It's actually statistically probable even. But with everything else that's going on for Bitcoin right now, I would say that that probability is actually diminished because there's outside factors affecting this thing. I don't think we go down to 96, 95K, not in your institution's best wet dreams, right? I don't think that they're going to have an opportunity to buy at those prices. Maybe, but probably not. 107.4K now. Likely, at the lowest from here, we'd find support at 101.6K if we were to go that low. But I think we're going to find support at a different 236, something that's more relevant. Low to high here, this 236 is at about 105.9K, right? Is that it? Is that right? Let's see. Yeah, 105.9K. Potentially that's where we go to find support before we move up higher. Now, if we don't hold support at the 236, I would very much anticipate that we find support at the 382, which is at about 104.3K. Little known fact about the 382, typically you do wick below there before moving higher. So we could go a little bit below 104K, and that's okay if we do. A little bit below there, and then we continue to rally, okay? But because we've moved up over the weekend, it makes me think that we probably do move down just to start off next week. And it might be quick. I hope it's quick. I hope it's just this quick thing. It doesn't take a whole week just to move down here. I hope it's quick, and then we recover. And then next week, even though we move down, we also move up and close the week bullishly. I would love to see that, okay? But moving up over the weekend's not normally a good thing. Not normally. Doesn't mean that it can't happen that we move up over the weekend and then we can't grow higher afterwards. We absolutely can, but time will tell. Daily RSI. Looks like it's in an area where it would reject, right? High here, lower high down here. It looks like we're in an area that we'd like to reject. If we look at the 4-hour time frame, 4-hour, overbought, rejecting the 60. It's bullish overall, I got to say. I mean, it looks bullish overall right now, but again, I think that if you were to move up higher, you would have done it already. You wouldn't be doing this. I don't know. That's just my kind of thoughts on that. And then again, taking that relative low here to this relative high, we haven't found support at any areas. We're actually finding resistance on the 069, which tells me we're probably going to go lower. If we go higher, cool. I was looking at Bitcoin before. I was actually going back in its history and just seeing these kind of boring moments like this. Sometimes you get a little move up that does take you above your relative highs before moving down. That could happen, right? And that's classic. That's classic Bitcoin behavior. Oh, we're going to go down. Guess what? You're right. But if you're going short, we're going to clear you out first, add on to the longs, make the people think that we're breaking out to new highs, and then we're going to go down, right? It's like it likes to mess with you. So not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Even if we get to highs that are above 108K, there's still a solid chance that we go down to this 106, 104K area, okay? Just be aware. But I don't know, man. I don't even know if we'll move up like that. 1-hour RSI, it's very neutral. And that's what you get whenever you move sideways for like 5 days, man. It's just very, very neutral price, so very, very neutral as well. You're getting volume coming in here, and we're on the index. That might not be the best representation. Again, they need to fix that, man, because the index is not an accurate representation yet. No volume at all. I think we're going to move down, man. I think it's just inevitable. We're rejecting the 60 a bunch of times. It's more bullish than it is bearish, but it's neutral overall. I think we're going to move down. Time will tell. But I got nothing else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one, all right? Take care of yourselves. And we're going to be watching a bunch of different indicators like a hawk here over the next probably like 4 months, okay? Not over the whole 4 months, but 4 months from now and then going into the end of the cycle, we're going to be watching, we're going to be checking in on these indicators like every single day, man. We make 2 Bitcoins videos a day. There will be dedicated long-term analysis videos every single day. Just because of that. And they might not be as long form as this, but just checking in with these things to make sure that we're on the right track, on the right path to hopefully time this market effectively. And if you can't time the market effectively, and nobody should assume that they can, you should also plan on DCAing out just like you DCA in, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But we'll get to the point. We'll hopefully make that clear, and it'll be clear, hopefully, as to when a good time to start DCAing out would be. I got nothing else. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button, please. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I appreciate you all very much. I'll see you on the next one, all right? Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.